Have you ever really stopped to think about the invisible systems that are just running our world? I mean, everything from how you find a name in your phone's contact list to how entire countries manage to work together. Underneath it all, there are these hidden rule books, turning total chaos into something that makes sense. We call it order. And believe me, once you start seeing it, you can't unsee it. So let's kick things off with a little puzzle.
All right, so think about this for a second. You've got a dictionary on one hand and the United Nations on the other. I mean, what on earth could those two things possibly have in common?
Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. It's order. They both come from this really deep, really fundamental human need to arrange things, to create systems, and, to just make sense of all the mess around us. This impulse, it's basically the blueprint for so much of how our world is built.
So to really get a grip on this powerful idea, let's start at the very beginning, with the first system of order most of us ever learn, the good old ABC.
Alphabetical order, right? It feels so natural, it's almost like a law of physics. But here's the thing, it's not. It's a system, a human invention. It's just a set of rules that we've all agreed to follow to make finding stuff a whole lot easier.
And what's really cool is when you break it down, something we do without thinking is actually a simple, kind of beautiful algorithm. You look at the first letter. If they match, you just move to the second. And if one word, say as, ends before another one like aster, well, the shorter one always gets to go first. It's pure, simple logic.
But, of course, just when you think you've got it all figured out, things get tricky. So look at this. How would you sort these two names? Do you treat the space like a full stop, sorting word by word? If you do that, San comes before Santa. Or do you just ignore the space and go letter by letter? Then Santa would come first. See? There's no single right way. It all just depends on which rule book you decide to play by.
And if we already have choices in English, oh man, it gets way more complicated when we start looking at other languages. This is where that simple idea of order just explodes into a million different forms.
So take Spanish, for example. The letter ñ. It's not just an N with a little squiggle on top. Nope. It's a completely separate letter with its own place in the alphabet, right after N. That one tiny difference totally changes the order of a Spanish dictionary compared to an English one.
And it gets even wilder. In Welsh, a combination like LL or CH, that's not two letters, it's one. The whole thing is treated as a single character when you're sorting. So a word starting with LL would actually come after all the words that start with a regular L. How cool is that? And believe me, these rules have some pretty big real-world consequences. In German, a letter like might be treated as AE. So a name like Müller could be sorted as if it were spelled Mulier. And the key thing is, depending on that rule, you would find that name in a completely different part of the phone book.
Now, this whole idea of sorting by alphabet, it's not new. It is an ancient technology. We're talking evidence going all the way back to the first millennium BCE. But it took a surprisingly long time to become standard. As late as 1604, the very first English dictionary still had to spell it out for people, literally explaining that, and I quote, "Now if the word begin with A, then look in the beginning." Seems obvious to us, right?
Okay, so we've seen that ordering letters is a powerful idea. It's ancient, and it's way more complex than you'd think. But this instinct we have to sort things out, it's about so much more than just the alphabet.
Yeah, that exact same human impulse, that need to arrange, to classify, to put everything into some kind of logical order. We apply it to, well, everything. Not just words on a page, but objects, ideas, and maybe most importantly, we apply it to each other.
And that leads us right to our next big idea, the organization. The origin of the word itself is really telling. It comes from the Greek word organon, which means tool or instrument. And that's exactly what an organization is, right? It's a tool made out of people designed to do something that one person just couldn't do alone.
So how do we take that sorting instinct and use it to build these human tools? Well, we create structures, we build hierarchies, and we draw up blueprints for how people are supposed to interact.
I mean, just look at this, the United Nations. This is a massive sorting project on a global scale. You've got the General Assembly, the Security Council, all these different agencies, all neatly arranged in a system of boxes and lines that define who has power and who's responsible for what. It's basically alphabetical order, but for countries and committees.
And this is definitely not a modern thing. Check out this incredible chart from 1864 showing the US federal government. It's the exact same impulse at work. You've got this clear top-down structure with lines of authority flowing from one central point
all the way down to the individual states. It's a perfect pyramid of organization.
And just like with alphabets, there's not just one way to organize people. The pyramid or the hierarchy, that's the one we all know. Think of any classic corporation. But we've come up with other systems too. We have committees, where a group of equals makes decisions together. We have complex matrix organizations, where one person might actually report to two different bosses. And we even have things called ecologies, which are more like these decentralized networks that can adapt and evolve on their own.
So, okay, order is clearly useful. It helps us build everything from dictionaries to governments. But is it always a good thing? Can you actually have too much order?
I mean, we definitely value it in people, right? We see orderliness as a virtue. It suggests you're diligent, you're clean, you've got your life together. It's absolutely seen as a desirable trait.
But here's the twist. That same desirable trait, when you take it to an extreme, it can cross a line. And excessive desire for order can actually become a part of a serious psychological condition like OCD.
We even have a casual and, not so flattering term for it that comes straight out of Freudian theory: anal retentive. You've probably heard it. It describes someone whose need for order and detail has become so intense that it's actually counterproductive, and it's bordering on something unhealthy.
And that leaves us with one last, really big question. This impulse to sort, to arrange, to organize, it's one of the most powerful tools humanity has ever developed. It lets us build amazing, complex societies and create vast libraries of knowledge. But at what point does that helpful tool become a harmful prison? Where do we, and where should we, draw the line?